All right, so welcome to our YouTube page, which is I Got You Podcast. So today I invited you here to ask you some questions on how some men think. I know you can't answer for every man, but at least you can give us some insight on how you think about certain things.
All right, sounds good.
All right, all right.
I'll try my best to see how best I can answer your questions.
All right, good. So just a couple questions. First, right? Oh, so a lot of these questions came from other women who were curious on how men think on certain situations.
Okay.
All right. So one question is, what is the one thing that men find confusing about women?
One thing.
One thing. Oh, what you mean?
Oh.
What you mean? One thing. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, like you say, I can't speak for all men, but I think that might be more than one thing. But
No, just name as much as you can.
the one thing that a man might find confusing, you know, or like you said, I can speak for myself, is how the mind of a female works, how the mind of the woman works.
Okay.
Right? So that is something I think most men, if not all men, have a hard time trying to figure out. And we do get confused at times when we try to dive too deep into figuring out the mindset of a woman.
Oh. What you mean by that?
So,
what do you mean by the mindset of a woman?
no, but I mean, if you think about it, there are certain things that a woman might process a certain way, and in delivering it or bringing it across to a man,
Okay.
it becomes so confusing. We're trying to figure out, okay, what are you trying to say to us, so to speak? I mean,
You're trying to be nice with it? Is it the way we communicate? You think is different from how you all as men communicate?
There is a barrier in communication, right? And as you know, communication is key, right? But there is a barrier in communication, and at times when women, communicate, they tend to take a roundabout way of saying something than just being direct. And in that roundabout way, a guy can get confused, and trying to interpret, what the essential message you're trying to get out is.
So we think too much.
So, I mean, yeah, you can say think too deep. Put it that way. Think too deep, and sometimes that deep thought of a female is not affected. I say affected by emotions.
Okay.
So you might get clouded by the emotions. So if you, for example, a lady wanted to come and say, oh, honey, I'm having a problem with the car. And instead of coming to say, oh, I was driving home today, and when I hit the brake, it felt soft. Say, oh, hon, I think the car won't stop.
Okay.
It's So what is the car doing, hon? I don't know. I hit the brake and it just kept going, and instead of saying when I hit the brake, it didn't do what it normally does, as it slowed down.
You want us to come straight to the point. That's what you're saying. Women don't come straight to the point.
Well, pretty much, because men, most men, and we're not general. So most men are, logical thinkers, right? And we are problem solvers. So when you approach us with something, right away our mind go into solving mode.
Okay.
Right. So the whole build up to the issue, we're not really want to hear that.
Okay.
When you tell us exactly what it is, it's like, okay, we start calculating. All right, this is how you solve it. This is what we need to do.
Okay.
Okay. So
that makes
sometimes
sense.
you have that barrier that causes confusion.
I understand. All right. So the next question: what drives a man to cheat on a woman they love? So with this question, a lot of women think that if a man cheats, that means they really don't love them. So what drives a man to cheat?
And that's a difficult question, right? Because I don't think there's a one driving factor, right? There's not just one driving factor. And when it happens, or if it happens, it doesn't say that you don't love the person,
Okay.
right? So, because if you think about it, love in itself is not just a feeling, which a lot of people get confused. A lot of people think love is a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I make you feel good, you think, oh, he loves me, you know. And the minute I stop making you feel good, oh, he don't love me anymore. What's going on?
Okay.
So it's not the feeling aspect, of that word love that drives it. But like I said, so a man, there's no one thing, to be honest. There's no one thing
That makes a man cheat.
that makes the man. Yeah, there's no one thing. So it can be a breakdown of things within a relationship,
Okay.
right? So you have a relationship that's going perfect, or as perfect as can be. So the relationship is going good, and if you have kids, we start paying attention to the kids and stop dating each other. We start neglecting each other unknowingly, right? So
Okay.
we're still in the house, we still talk, we still laugh, we still have good bedroom time and everything, but we don't realize that the distraction of the kids, of work and everything else, is taken away from the bond we had initially when we just met, when those factors weren't involved,
Okay.
right? So it slowly breaks down, and we both get tired,
Okay.
long day at work, whatever, everybody gets tired. So you might have the guy feeling energized, desiring his partner and stuff, and makes an advance, and the partner is like, oh, I'm tired. To the man, that's going to be a rejection,
Okay.
because he's now in that mode, because men are driven sexually, right? Just straightforward, put that out there. Men are sexual beings, right? And that's why a lot of and I might have digressed a little bit. That's why a lot of females will think that oh, men, they just like women, all women and everything. But we're created as sexual beings, right? So once you have all those factors start dwindling, the neglect starts setting in, and
Okay.
stuff. The guy might be so in love with you, but then he sees that tiredness as a rejection. And because we don't communicate too well to say, all right, honey, I understand you're tired today, so all right, I'll probably see you later on, or get some rest and we'll talk.
Right.
But if it happens over a period of time, then that rejection now becomes,
Oh, okay,
she
there's
don't want me, she doesn't desire me. So you know what? My eyes are now open to somebody else.
So why doesn't the man communicate that to the wife then, or vice versa? Because probably women do the same thing. Why doesn't the
Yeah.
man communicate to the wife that, hey, I feel rejected. I want sex. You're not giving me sex. So instead of going out and finding somebody else.
Yeah, because it goes right back to the communication barrier that I say we have, because it's hard to communicate with somebody who, I won't say don't know how to communicate, but interprets what is being said the wrong way. Right? So you might want to communicate that, but then your delivery is wrong, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So your delivery might be wrong. And then the person receiving it interprets it wrong, and then you have that clash. So the meat of the matter is not even discussed. Right?
'Cause you end
So
up
it's not understood.
Okay.
So if that is not clarified or sorted out, then you still have that barrier to overcome.
Okay.
So a man might want to talk to you, communicate with you, and say, I think you rejected me earlier when you say X, Y, Z. But then, based on the response from the female, it might be, no, babe, I didn't reject you. It's because I'm tired. Okay, fine. But then others might, why do you think I reject you? It's, so it's the delivery. And then that in itself is going to compound the whole situation and push the man away.
Okay.
So like I said, in relationship, you have some guys, and I'll say some, who like looking at a lot of women and get caught up in that. There are others who value what they have, value the home, value everything. But then when the neglect starts or the needs are not met in the house, you start looking on the outside, because what? The outside is easier.
So do you lose love for the person, or do you still love the person at home? Even though you're out there cheating, do you still consider that love?
Yeah, for a guy, it's definitely has nothing to do with love. On the flip side, for the female, it might be emotional because when females get into it, not all again, because we can't speak for everybody,
Right.
but when females get into that cheating type mode, they have to be connected with a person. For a guy, he just lays with a person, so there's no feelings attached
I got you.
other than what he
Yes.
gets from the action,
Okay.
you know.
So within the same thing, because you brought it up, right? So how does a woman say no to a man if they're tired at night? How do they say it in a way that the man doesn't feel rejected? Because you know what I'm saying. Sometimes a lot of women don't want sex as much as men do, but it's like they're scared to say it, or they're
Right.
just gonna give it up because they feel like my man wants it, so I guess I do what he wants, or I don't want to hurt his feelings, so
All right.
you
and
know.
and that can also be a wrong thing because it can be perceived from the man's point of view that oh, she's not into this, so she's just laying there like a lot. Oh,
Right.
okay,
Right.
go ahead,
Right.
please yourself. That's not what a guy wants. He wants to bond with his woman. He wants to bond with you. So it's not if it was just the sex
Right.
action, you know.
So how do we do it then? So
It's-
how do we tell a man?
Right. So like to your question, it's a softer delivery. All right. So remember, no, none of us, men or women, are so hard and fast in anything. We're understanding beings, right? We have heart, we have compassion and stuff. So if I make an advance, you come home and you shower, whatever, and you're relaxing, and I've been thinking about you all day. I want you, and I make an advance, and you're tired. It's not like you're gonna be like, do we have to, babe, or
The delivery.
no?
Oh, okay.
You turn, you hug me, you kiss me and stuff, and then when you realize that I want more, you say, "Hon, can we probably later on before bed or something? Because right now I'm kind of tired, you know." So the softer delivery,
So
the
the
guy will
delivery.
know. Okay, she's not rejecting me. You already set a time for later, so in his mind, it's not a no. He's gonna get you later on. So
Or
he
tomorrow.
can be right. So he can
Oh.
compromise at that point and say, okay. You know,
Okay.
but if it's a shove or something, he's like, oh, you don't want me. So it's like a total rejection. So there's no later on set in place where in his mind, he's like, okay, I can let you relax and rest right now because later I'm gonna have you.
Okay.
It's like totally out of the picture.
Okay. Okay.
You know, so when you think about it like that and it's out of the picture, like I said, that's when the guy's mind starts opening up. He might
Right.
look on something online, porn, something, a picture or something, and his mind started going outside the house.
Because he feels rejected by the person because
Who's
how
in
they
the house.
delivered it. Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. All right. All right. So back to the cheating. Do you think men generally stay in a relationship with a woman who cheated on him? Again, you know how they said women will keep going back to that man who cheated on us. But a lot of things, society says men, as soon as they know that their woman cheated, they're ready to leave.
That's a societal thing too, because that is a subjective statement, right? Because if the man really loves that woman, right? You love, respect, honor your woman, and based on how that cheating occurred, right? It's hard on either side of the spectrum. It's hard, all right, to deal with because you're dealing with hurt and everything, right? Deception. You're thinking all these thoughts, but if that woman comes back to the husband or the partner and say, this occurred, I'm sorry for it, whatever, right? And you show that you're genuinely sorry, I think most men will, because I don't think any man is ready to give up what he built over an incident of cheating.
Would
Right.
y'all be able to let it go?
And over a period of time,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Over a period, especially if the person, that guy, knows that he has done something,
Okay.
whether it might not be to that person, but in the past he has done something to somebody, right? Yeah,
You think he'll forgive
would,
and
yeah.
stay?
yeah. He would have a forgiving heart, and he would let it go over a period of time.
Right.
The initial hurt is where it's hard, but over a period of time, it goes away. And the mind, it's all about the mind because
Right.
you're gonna be thinking so many different things as to what occurred, how did it occur. You think about your manhood, your ego. I mean, all these things,
Right.
and that's why most men might think, or women might think most men won't stay because
Yeah.
you know. But if you come and say whatever occurred, and you assure the person that look, it was something that was just a quick thing, right?
Mhm.
Then it's different. It's when the emotion is when you're emotionally connected to that person. That's when it's harder for the guy because he knows now. Okay, she's
Okay.
the emotional side of it, and that's why it's hard when they say it's harder for a man to accept cheating than
Yeah.
a woman.
Yeah. So you're saying though that's if the woman comes to you and say, "Hey, babe, I cheated on you," but what if she didn't do that and you found out? Is that something different? Just is that something different? That you,
Yeah. Well, it's just a little bit different, but if you do find out based on your investigation or you heard something, whatever,
Mhm.
and you found out, once you find out, the next thing is going to be to clarify to see if it actually is so,
Mhm.
right? Because we can't just end anything on assumption,
Right. Right.
Because even if we found message or whatever, it still doesn't say that something occurred,
Mhm.
right? So say you found out based on your research and everything, and your next thing is going to be to ask,
Right.
you know, I saw this, did you?
Mhm.
So now it's back on the person to say,
So it's up to that
I
point,
did, or, right.
and then
And
you
then
go.
based on that is where the stay or no stay
Okay.
applies.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but the act is just that's just initial
Mhm.
first. That's you know.
Okay. All right. So move on to the next question. Is it a misconception that the main focus of men when entering a relationship is sex?
That the main focus. I mean, so now in the society,
Mm.
I would probably say yes, just because of what we're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, content is all over.
Mm.
The internet, your phone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everything you see, all the skimpy ladies around, you know.
Yeah.
And based on my thing I said earlier that men are driven sexually,
Mm-hmm.
once you see that, you know, your mind initially or automatically goes to sex.
Mm.
But prior to now, with all this, you know, advancement in technology and everything and
Mhm.
access to information, my answer to that question would be no, because you meet a person, and if you're interested in this person for long term,
Mm-hmm.
then the initial sex doesn't matter because you're gonna have this person long term.
Mm.
So you'll have that sex for
Whenever.
you know
Okay.
forever,
Okay.
whenever. So you know, I would probably say no
Okay.
to that is not
Okay. It's not the focus.
the main
The main
focus.
focus of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's gonna be our last question. All right. Do you think men are generally intimidated or feel insecure in a relationship with a woman who makes more money or is more educated than they are?
Sometimes, and again, it depends on the person, right?
Mhm.
So most of these questions, as you know, this might be a dependent question because it
Mhm.
depends on the person. So what I mean by that,
Mhm.
if we're in a relationship and I'm with a person and she's a doctor,
Mhm.
right, has a PhD, makes all this money, and I am say a mechanic or just you know a
Mhm.
regular office person,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Just make regular office wages, right? If that person doesn't throw her achievements, her accomplishments, and everything,
Mhm.
you know, on me, then it wouldn't matter because
Right.
we are one. I see the man that most men would see it as one.
Mhm.
If a guy has a very big ego, he
Mhm.
might feel a way about that. But a person who is in love with somebody else, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you're the richest person in the world or whatever, that shouldn't be an intimidating factor
Right.
because
Right.
then that's not what you're in love with. I'm in love with the person. So you be more educated and making more money as long as you're not lording it, so to speak, over me,
Mhm.
then it wouldn't be a problem. Because
Okay.
I know guys who they're at home, stay at home dads,
Mhm.
and the wife is out there working, making the money and
Right.
everything, and she still make him feel like the man by depositing that money in an account that he has full access to.
Mhm.
He can pay the bills. Does whatever. Because she's working so much, she doesn't have time to do all that.
Right.
So she's
Right.
like, honey, you know what? Pay the bills. You do all this.
Mhm.
So he still doesn't feel like he's less of a man
Mm-hmm.
So so as long as I think as long as that person, the woman, you know, is not
Okay.
using that her
Against
achievements
it, throwing it in
against
his
him,
face. Okay.
yeah, it wouldn't.
One last one. I even though I said that was the last question, right? What is real? I know I asked earlier about what is most confusing about women, but what is it that you think some women probably need to know about men, or even in relationships? What they need to do, know how to be better in their relationship, communication wise, sexual wise, anything. Because I know there's a lot of issues, especially now with Corona going on. You see a lot of divorces. You see people not
Correct.
communicating. Like, what
Correct.
do you think some women should know to maybe make things
The
better?
well, my main thing,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, I've been thinking about this, a lot, seeing a lot that's happening, reading
Mm-hmm.
and everything. But my main thing in any relationship, friendship, anything,
Mm-hmm.
is communication. And I think that's the main one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if we don't know how to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
then that's where all the issues start. If we can't say, what we're feeling and say it in a nice enough way
Mm-hmm.
as not to offend, then that's where everything
Right.
goes
Right.
awry. So that would be, the main thing that women could do. But I mean, other than that, just show the person that you care, right? That it's
Mm-hmm.
not all about you, because society now dictates, as you've heard, the man's supposed to protect and
Right.
provide and
Right.
do all this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we are beings too. We have hearts, we have feelings, we
Right.
bleed. We
Right.
might not show our hurt, but we hurt.
Why is it that y'all
So
don't show your hurt though? Why is it that? Is it just because of
it's
society, how we were raised to
it
not
is
show anything?
yeah, it sure has a lot to do with it. It sure has a lot to do with society, because you have a man has this such a big hat to
Mm-hmm.
wear, and a lot of females or ladies don't realize that, because we're supposed to protect
Mm-hmm.
and provide, and if we're gonna protect, we have to now develop this hard shell
Right.
as a protector, because you're
Right.
pretty much a soldier of your home.
Mm-hmm.
You think about soldiers going in the army, people going in the army to
Mhm.
become soldiers to go fight war.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be hard. It doesn't say they don't have a heart or whatever, but they have to develop this
It's hard.
hard
Some-
exterior.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you go through the regimental training to get hard. Society now teaches, all right, get hard, go outside and cut the yard, kill the lizards,
Mm-hmm.
do this, all this.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of molds you to be,
Mm-hmm.
the hard person.
So y'all don't ever show
But-
how you really feel.
Right, yeah, exactly. So you be out there and a female you might be running and you fall and you're gonna cry
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna be, oh, it's okay, and you get nursed.
Mm-hmm.
And I fall
Mm-hmm.
and I start crying. What are you crying for?
What's wrong with you?
Go and put some alcohol and that stuff in.
Yeah.
Get,
But that's
So it's just how society pretty much
Right.
has conditioned us to be as men.
Yeah, see, I think we've been conditioned since babies, though, because I think
Yeah,
we had a conversation about how people raise their kids. We raise the boys to not cry, not show emotions, not do certain things.
Right.
So we started raising our kids and boys like that. So I
Mhm.
guess it's hard to get out of when they get into a relationship.
Yeah,
They're not gonna be able to show nothing.
right. It sure is, and if you think about it, that's pretty much the only manual we have. Because there's no book.
Yeah,
There's no book
Yeah.
for love. There's no book for raising kids. Being a parent.
right,
So we go along in steps,
Mhm.
learning and doing and correcting
Right,
and
right.
making the mistakes and all this thing.
Mhm.
But our initial conditioning has so much to do with it that a lot of people don't know.
right.
Yeah. But females just need to be cognizant of that fact that your man, as tough as he is,
Mhm.
he's still a
He's still a
softie.
person.
He's still a person, for real.
Still a
So
person.
you gotta nurture him. You gotta,
Yeah.
show him the same amount of love and affection that you require.
Right.
It's
Okay.
that simple.
Well, I really
Simple.
appreciate you. I appreciate this. I appreciate you doing this. And of course,
That's no problem.
I'm going to be asking you some more questions. So I appreciate that. Thank
Sure
you.
thing.
You want to say
You're
anything
welcome.
else for the people? No?
Ah,
Bye.
probably the next one.
I'm all right, bye.